All right, this is an overview of my thinkorswim setup, which allows me to get in and out of positions extremely quick. Because as you guys heard me say in my tutorial recording, you should not be using the options chain to follow my alerts or trade alongside me, if you will. Um, it just takes forever. I'm trading 0 days. I'm trading SPX, just the most volatile, pretty much the most volatile 0 day contracts one can buy, and then KikiQ as well, which is also extremely volatile for the 0 day contracts. So you don't really have time to, oh, Bryce alerted SPX calls. By the way, I know I trade SPX. I only do my charting on TradingView though. So these charts, I don't really look at them much. If I'm in a position and I'm about to get out or in, then obviously I'll be looking at the charts. But keep in mind, I have multiple screens. I have two 57-inch curve screens. So I see TradingView and Discord and the news all at the same time. Okay. Now I don't look at the SPX chart on here because it is terrible volume. It doesn't look good at all. As you can see, there's no volume. It's useless. And slash ES isn't a very nice chart either. I have, I use ES because I have pivots drawn out. I don't have any of that drawn out. So I just have SPY here. I don't trade it though. And then QQQ, right? Nice volume, easy to look at, so on and so forth. But all my TA is done on TradingView. But if price alerts, SPX calls for this strike, this price, well, you got to get the ping, then you have to open my channel, then you got to look at the contracts, then you got to go to trade, and then you got to go to products. You got to find the expiration, and then you got to scroll down, and then you got to find the size or the specific contract. And then you have to screw around with your size, move it up or down, and then you got to screw around with a limit order or market order, and then you're in. That doesn't work. That takes an eternity to get in. If you're trading like that, you're not trading properly. I don't even know how you're able to make money following my alerts if you are. I'm sure it's possible, but it's a lot more difficult. So yeah, I never go on the options chain ever. Okay. Here's the screen that I pretty much only work on two screens, I think, or swim. This is my just general charting screen. I have SPY and QQQ. And keep in mind, I only look at ES and NQ on TradingView, but I have these charts here. And then these are the charts of the options contracts that I'm going to trade. So usually when I show up to the market, it'll usually look like this. When I show up to the market, it looks like this. Market's about to open, and these charts are blank. These are the options charts. I never go to the options chain because, as I told you guys in the tutorial, I always trade the 0 days, and I always enter contracts for SPX between $2.50 and $3, and QQQ contracts between 50 cents and 80 cents. Okay? So I never go into the options chain. All I do is, okay, today's the 23rd. Let's change these contracts to the 23rd. These are .SPXW contracts. I'm not going to teach you guys how thinkorswim works at some point. But all I do is I just update, okay, 23rd, 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 and 23rd. Now, these contracts are $4. I'm going to up the strike price to something more in my target range where I like to buy. There you go. Boom. This one's a little high as well. I'm going to go down. Boom. Perfect. That's right where I want to buy. A QQQ calls, fine at 70 cents. This at 54 cents, maybe a little bit more expensive. Oh, that was the wrong way. So, nope. Got to go. There you go. Boom. Now I have all my contracts set up for the entire day, ready to go. Okay. Now, over the day, over the course of the morning, if price action starts going up, obviously these calls are going to be too expensive. As you can see, they already cleared $3. I'll go ahead and bump it up a strike. But sometimes there'll be a massive gap like this. Not as common in the mornings though, but later in the day it is. I'll keep it here, right? But if the contracts start getting a little bit too expensive, all I have to do to change my contracts is boom. There you go. Boom. It's done. And if these contracts get too cheap, boom. That's a nice thing. I don't care what the strike price is. I trade within a certain price range. It doesn't matter because I'm only trading the first 30 minutes to an hour of market open, and each trade's maybe 10 to 15 minutes, and you're not going to experience that much decay. So your strike that really doesn't matter much. Okay, this is kind of the sweet spot that I've been trading for a while. So let me bump this back down to where I'd typically buy it. There you go. So that's the first thing I do. It's quick. Takes like 30 seconds, not even. All I have to do is update the date on all 4 of these contracts. I have the SPY chart here, so obviously I'm going to have SPX calls and XPX puts here. And then I'm going to have QQQ chart, QQQ calls, QQQ puts, basic. Today's the 23rd. Input, I just edit these, double click them, put in the 23rd, and then adjust my prices. I am ready to go. The actual trading happens on the flexible grid for me. Pretty much a similar thing. I just can't see the options charts. This is my active trader. Okay. So I still see the charts here, SPY, QQQ, but these are linked. Okay. So any changes that I make here, see this chart is linked as yellow 2. This one is 3. This one is 4. This one is 5. So when I go to this chart, if I don't like this price, see how it's a little bit too cheap now? I'll drop it down to 85. And I just typo 85. Boom. See how this is 85 now? It's linked. Now this is 290. So by having these linked, if I update them quickly, I can very quickly change strike prices and always be exposed to entering my desirable contracts. Most options trader, they wait for a setup, and then once they get a setup, they have to go into the options chain and pick out their contracts and fill their size. No, I don't do that, right? I am using this method like, look, this is too expensive now if I wanted to enter. Obviously, the market is hyper volatile, so this kind of crazy $2.80 to $4 movement typically doesn't happen. It happens more later in the day. But now I just bump this up. There you go. Boom. So on the fly, just like that, I can change what strike price I'm looking at, and I'm always looking at contracts I want to enter across the board. SPX calls and puts, QQQ calls and puts. Always exposed to it. That way, when I need to get in, boom, I just come here and get in. Oh, QQQ looks good. Boom, I can go there and get in immediately. Another huge thing here is I have auto send on, which means if I click anywhere on this chart, it is going to put a limit order on my chart, right? So I could buy market, which is the quickest way to get in, which I do actually sometimes. I do it a pretty decent amount. I used to never do it. But sometimes it's just not worth not getting filled a lot of the time. But if anything, if I want to get in calls right now, boom, I click 2.6. I click this. Obviously, I'm not going to click it because I do not want to enter a trade. I click this. It'll immediately put me in order at 2.6 and it'll fill me. Anywhere on this, it's one click to enter, right? So I'm always one click away from entering a trade using Active Trader. And all you guys mess around with Active Trader, do not accidentally enter with a bunch of contracts. I'm not even, you guys know I don't trade after the first hour, so I don't even play games with, screwing around with orders and whatnot. But play around with it. Put your size to one contract. All that stuff. And make sure auto send is on, because if it's off and you want to send in an order, then you're going to have a confirmation page and it's going to slow you down. Okay, at any point, I am now ready to enter. I'm literally one click away from entering SPX calls, SPX puts, QQQ calls, QQQ puts at an ideal strike price within the targeted price range that I want. And here's another very important thing for me, trading within a specific price range. I know what my sizing is going to be. For me, I don't trade very heavy. I've always kind of traded lighter, I'm just not a risky person. I always trade 10 SPX contracts per trade. Give or take a tiny bit. What's that mean? Well, my average position fills around 2.6. So I know that pretty much every trade I take is $2,600-ish. Give or take some. It doesn't even matter. I just pretty much always have it at 10, unless I'm buying $4 contracts. So I always have my size here. So unlike the options chain, I don't always have to screw around with my size. It's always 10, 10, 10, And then my QQQ contracts are typically 1/4 to 1/5. Sometimes I'll move this to a fifth. Um, but it's typically my QQQ contracts. I typically enter 4 to 5 times more because they're that much cheaper, right? So if I always enter contracts around $2.50 to $3, I know that I'm always entering with 10 contracts. And that also means that I'm always entering QQQ with 40 to 50 contracts. I was going to do 40 today, but I missed my trades today, unfortunately. And that, again, just takes out an entire another variable that you need to think about as a trader. What is my sizing going to be? Well, if I'm always entering the same price contracts, I'm always one click away, then I'm always entering the same size. And if the contracts get too expensive, like they're too cheap here, for example, if they get too cheap, boom, I make them more expensive. There you go. And my size is still 10. I'm always one click away from entering and exiting. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, in order to do this, go to the flexible grid. I'm not going to give a huge thinkorswim tutorial. Click this, click customize grid. There you go. Now you got this. So what I can do is I can add another, I can click this, add another chart to the right. This is a chart. I can change it to be an active trader, right? Or I can change it to be a chart, and then boom, I can have another chart. I can look at the VIX or something. I don't know, right? And then I can turn off the active trader. Boom, now it's just a chart. Okay. Obviously, I don't do that. But that's how you kind of set this up. I forgot how to delete this. To be completely honest, I have not messed with thinkorswim in a while. I've had the same setup forever. So I completely forgot to delete this chart. Yeah, this is like the. Am I stupid? Where do I freaking? Oh, it's this button here. I forgot. There you go. Boom. See, stupid. It's been so long since I've messed with my layout. This layout's done me well for years. And if it wasn't for this layout, I wouldn't be able to alert. Each trade would simply just take too long to get into. I would never be able to alert my trades. This allows me to do it, which means if I am able to enter and exit managed trades while alerting them in a channel, you should have no problem reading my channel and executing trades as well with this particular setup. But it's pretty easy, I can add something right here, change the gadget to this one's an active trader. That's exactly what you want. You can change it to a level 2 chart for, I don't know, SPY or something. Whatever it is, right? Whatever it is. But up here, I only use the chart gadget. There you go. And down here, it's the, now look, look at this. It's all screwed up now. Hang on. I'm messing up my setup for you guys. There we go. So that's all it is. You use the customized grid here, throw up your charts. For me, if you trade like me and only trade the S&P 500 and QQQ or NASDAQ, makes it real easy. You got 2 charts. You got calls and puts down here, calls and puts down here. There you go. You're ready to go. Super quick. Entering and exiting. You're always trading the same price. You're always trading the same position sizes as far as the amount of contracts. And you always know, because you're entering at the same price, how big your positions are, which makes it real easy for me to enter with half size. Because if all my positions are roughly $2,500 to $3,000-ish, if I want to enter half size, boom. That's around $1,500 entry. That's around half, right? Now, if I want to add, well, if it's an average down, I'll add like 6 because the contract's dropped, right? Just super easy, rough math, maybe 7 depending on how much they dropped. Add my second half. If I'm averaging up, then I'll add 4 or 3 because the contracts are more expensive. So I'm just in my head, full size position, $3,000, half size, $1,500. And of course, you can trade a lot heavier. You can do $20,000 positions or whatever you guys like to do, but it just makes it simple and easy, which is quick. It's less thinking. So I can spend more time focusing on the chart and the most probabilistic event to come. And I can spend much more time focusing on actually executing on my edge and preparing to execute on it rather than dealing with the stupid options chain and the different strike prices and position sizing and expirations and all that garbage. Don't deal with that. Do this. If you don't have Thinkorswim, add it. I have not been on Webull forever. When I stopped using Webull, they didn't even have an active trader yet. So I can't help you on any other platform. I've been primarily trading options on Thinkorswim for years. So highly recommend Thinkorswim. Do this. You will have no problem getting in and out of positions extremely fast. But all right, if you guys have any comments or questions, you can DM me at Bryce Trades, or you can comment on this YouTube video. I'll just post it. Just thought I'd make this video to help you guys out because a lot of you guys are still trading with the options chain and you're wasting your time. You're wasting so much time, you know. So, all right, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Hopefully this was helpful. And like I said, yeah, leave a comment or DM me at Bryce Trades if you guys have any questions regarding the setup. And I'll let you guys know. I'll ping you guys in my alert channel when this video is posted.